Welcome to the next Full Circle Ancestry Sidebar. This is number 10, and once again we're dealing with the village of Vyšný Medzev in modern-day Slovakia. Let's look at what we can glean from death records from 1852 to 1886, the same time period that was our main focus in the previous sidebar's baptism records from the same village. So check that video out as well. Let's start by looking at the age at death distribution during this period. As with a similar analysis of the village of Spišský Hrchov, that distribution is heavily skewed toward the younger ages, such that in this case also, about half of the deaths occurred at age 4 or younger. The other half were spread out over quite a wide range, going up to age 101 in Vyšný Medzev, or Obermetzenseifern, according to the records. If we remove the data for the first 50%, again, as we saw in the Spišský Hrchov records, there is a tendency for those involved in recording to do a little estimating by rounding the age off to a multiple of 10. This points out that we can't be too confident in the precision of these records, but directionally they give us a lot of useful information. Many people died very young, and for those that lived longer, keeping precise track of age was not as important as it might be to us today. Here's a look at deaths per year during this period. Notice how spiky it is. That's a technical term. If we hearken once more back to our analysis of Spišský Hrchov death records, we see only a couple of big spikes relative to the baseline level. Cholera epidemics were to blame for those excursions. Back to our current analysis, let's dig deeper into this annual variation observation by graphing the death rate per month over the 35-year period. Here is shown the frequency of each specific number of deaths for all 420 of these months. How many times were there 0 deaths in a particular month, or 1 or 2, etc.? There are only 2 monthly rates that stand out from all the others. Those 2 are featured here by showing 1873 above and 1874 below. September 1873 had 44 deaths, driven primarily by cholera, with a majority of the following May's 31 deaths related to a smallpox outbreak. Back to the annual death rate, those most highly concentrated months led to just 2 of the many spikes. In 1855, a triple whammy of typhus, dysentery, and cholera. In 1863, typhus and tuberculosis took its toll, and lingered into 1864. In 1867, cholera. In 1870, scarlet fever ravaged the village. And as we just discussed, cholera in 1873, then smallpox in 1874. The year 1881 saw scarlet fever once again rear its ugly head. Bout after bout of disease had to have kept the people of Obermetzenseifern always on edge, waiting for the next wave of sickness. Let's take the baptism rate from the previous sidebar and integrate it with the death rate. OM had an average of 69 baptisms per year over these same years, while here we see an average of 61 death records per year. That is, all other things being equal, the population of the village would increase by about 8 people per year. At the end of this sequence, that would result in an increase of just under 300 people in the village. But that does not account for people moving into, or most importantly in this case, out of the village. And based on other data which has been shared in this series, we know that the population of OM was declining as the end of the century approached, with many individuals and families emigrating to the USA in particular. Let's play Jeopardy! Answer: June and July. Question: what were the 2 best months to be alive in Obermetzenseifern in the second half of the 19th century, based on having the lowest statistical likelihood of dying? Summertime is glorious in Vyšný Medzev, and I'll bet those villagers had an innate sense that there was less death about in those months. The rate tended to increase from there into the winter months, with the stretch from December through March being the worst. It's arduous to talk too much about death all in one chunk, but we got through it, and it's an important aspect of life in these villages in those days. To buoy your outlook, I'll let you know that the next time we'll stay with Vyšný Medzev and talk about marriage records. That should be a bit more uplifting. Thanks for watching today. I hope you liked the video. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Take care and goodbye for now.